Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Good for Bitcoin show. It's a weekly show we do every Friday, recapping the events of the week, talking about everything that's good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. So we always have a lot to talk about. And before we get started, pinned tweet at the top. If everybody could go ahead and retweet that, that would be very helpful just to get the word out there that the show is started, and we'll get some more listeners in here and have a good time. My name is Brandon, social media manager here, and we have Longstreet that's commandeering the leather handle today. Longstreet, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm great, man. A little bit better this week in Bitcoin than compared to last week.
It is a good for Bitcoin week. I will agree with that. And yeah, we'll get into some of the hopefully positive news. Hopefully it stays positive, I guess. But we will see. But first of all, I wanted to have you maybe recap Leather Lounge that happened on Wednesday. That was with Teleport DAO, and unfortunately, I was out that day, so I had to miss it. But would love to hear a little bit on how that went.
Absolutely, yeah. Teleport DAO, the two gentlemen that have been building, joined us on the episode. So they offered a lot of insights into what they're building. So they just offer a lot of interoperability between all chains, and it's trustless. And it's honestly it's really impressive to see how they're doing this and maintaining the trustless nature of it. So yeah, I mean, anyone can listen back to the details. We will be publishing on YouTube as well. And then at the back half, we had Hero check in. And Hero did a great job jumping in and asking really good questions of the guys too. And then we also played a little recording of Brett. It was 4 a.m. for him, but we got him to send a recording so that he could share the latest with Gamma. So it was a good, eventful show, man. You were missed for sure, but yeah, we still made a great show, and the recording is available.
I love that. I love. I feel like a lot of spaces don't really make use of being able to play recordings, but that's really cool. Especially because we are so scattered around on different time zones and things like that. It doesn't always work for everybody, but really cool that we were able to hear from Brett at Gamma. And of course, we always appreciate Hero Gamer coming on. Definitely a friend of the show, and always appreciate all of his contributions. He's pretty great. One thing that I did notice, especially looking back at we've been doing some of these, we've been reposting a lot of these clips from these shows, and from me going back and listening, I'm really noticing and becoming very self-conscious of how many filler words I'm using personally. I don't know if that's something that you've also been more aware of since kind of starting this, but trying to get better at that.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people, a lot of actors, some people, they literally cannot watch, they can't go to the screenings of the movies that they're in. It's just they're too self-critical. And I want to be strong and brave enough to really accept and be able to take any constructive feedback. But it's hard. And I remember, so this was something I learned a lot in teaching. The the hardest moments of my teaching career was when I was recording myself and having to watch myself teach, because you're just so self-critical. You're your own worst critic, but that's also how we grow. So it was in those moments teaching where I was recording my lessons, watching myself back, and having that feedback mechanism working. Yeah, similarly for this, it's tricky, but at the same time, what's the bottom line? We got to bring value to people, and we're always growing. Everyone's always growing.
Yeah, I used to be very afraid and scared of doing any kind of public speaking. And one of my first jobs was at the Microsoft store, which was very, very similar to like the Apple stores in terms of how they were set up.
Mhm.
And in the stores, we used to host workshops that customers could come in and learn about their, Microsoft products and Windows and things like that. And I would have to host those sometimes, and that was really like one of the main things that really helped me to get out of my comfort zone. Actually, was having to host those workshops, and it was very low. Like there, the barrier was low just because there was usually only one or two people in attendance most of the time. So yeah, it wasn't like a very, very stressful thing where I was presenting to, a large amount of people. And yeah, that was just something that really helped me early on with at
Yeah.
least being comfortable with speaking at all.
Yeah. It's definitely a skill. I was talking to my wife about this. She's been a performer her whole life, so she's very like comfortable on stage. But I must have heard it on a podcast because that's basically like the majority of my media consumption. But I heard about how some people that like this focus group was pulled. They listened to two lectures. One lecture was like, as far as quality of content, it was like by far the best quality as far as the right subject matter and delivery. It was the best, but it had a lot of filler words in it. And then the other one, like the person sounded more confident and they had less filler words. And in this particular study, the people said that they found the person who used less filler words to be more authoritative, even though his material was like they peppered in like false information basically. Um, so, but people perceived it as being more authoritative. And I told that to my wife, and one of her business partners, he actually has like, he uses a lot of uhs and ums in his talking. And I think it totally depends on the listener. Um, yeah, I just think it totally depends. So maybe, yes, we can always like grow. We can do better by taking out the filler words and all that. But I think if we aim to to bring the value to the listeners, they're gonna hear the words that are there, and listen past the fillers.
Yeah, I your that study makes me feel even worse. But we'll push through and yeah, I guess we can stop talking about inside baseball, and I guess we can get to the actual meat of the show.
Push
Um,
to the show and fill up the room. That's what it is.
yeah. I was hoping that Shaylee would be here. I think she had a really busy week. We talked about last Friday with ETH going on, and we're gonna get
Mhm.
a really good recap from her. Hopefully next week when she's back, and not traveling and being so busy. But there also will be video clips available. But really excited to kind of see what came out of that, especially with all the crypto news that's been happening in DC lately. It's a really interesting time for an event like that to happen, and yeah, I'm just curious to learn more about it.
Well, me too. Before we get to the meat of like everything that you have on your agenda, I really at some point today I want you to talk about your website because I mean that's to me that's one of the biggest things happening this week. It's incredible what you did. So would you mind, recapping how it started and what you accomplished this week?
Sure. So it was about it was actually about a year ago that we already had inscriptions and they were already out for a few months, and just the idea that you could inscribe something one time and only pay one time and have it basically live on Bitcoin forever was a really exciting proposition for a lot of people, especially like artists and things like that. I'm not, like a traditional artist like you are, where I'm not like creating music or creating like art. Um, but I think for me, it was still a really exciting thing to think about, okay, well, if I can host something forever, maybe I can host a website on Bitcoin, right? And have it live on Bitcoin forever. And that was really exciting. So a few months go by, and on Ordinals, they came out with these new things called recursion and recursive endpoints. And that basically allowed ordinal inscriptions to reference other ordinal inscription data. And this was before Leather even had launched. I was really primarily writing a lot of threads for Trust Machines at the time, only, and keeping up to date on all the new things that were coming out. And at this time, recursion had not yet been launched on Ordinals. It wasn't a thing yet. But I was writing about it. I was like, oh, this is going to be this cool thing. It's going to unlock all these use cases, blah, blah, blah. And of course, artists were really excited because it was going to enable some really cool things like, what we saw with recursion. Gamma's prints, of course, use recursion. And there's a lot of really amazing collections like On-Chain Monkey Dimensions that end up using recursion for a lot of their stuff, with being able to inscribe different JavaScript libraries, et cetera. But anyway, when I was looking into this, none of those things existed yet. And I ended up kind of stopping what I was writing and being like, I think I could actually be the first one to actually publish and inscribe something that makes use of this feature, this new feature that's coming out. And I ended up publishing it, and that was sort of the version 1 of my inscription website. And then, yeah, it was the first sort of HTML file that referenced other images and a few images, I think, and maybe a CSS file if I'm not mistaken. And I inscribed it, and it was the first one. And because I was kind of the first one to do it, it kind of blew up and went a little bit viral, and a bunch of people saw it, including Casey, who's the creator of Ordinals, and that was really cool. And I actually ended up meeting Casey a couple months later at an Ordinals event, and he recognized me, which was like also very cool. Like, just the fact that I built. I mean, I'm not a developer or anything like that, so the fact that I was able to make something like that, that inspired so many other people also to create their own versions of it was just awesome. So that was about a year ago, and it was great that this website existed, but it existed basically in that time. It wasn't updatable. Once you inscribe something, traditionally, it can't be updated, and that's it. It's just there, and it's just sort of a moment in time. And after a few months, some more endpoints started to come out, which basically allowed you to do things like display the most recently inscribed file on a particular SAT, for example. And we had things like parent-child come out. So you could sort of group inscriptions together and have sort of hierarchies of inscriptions. And, kind of combining all those pieces together, I was like, well, it feels like I could potentially make another kind of version of this website that actually does allow me to change things through things like reinscription, and being able to inscribe new files onto the same SAT. And again, I'm not a coder at all, so I definitely did a lot of consulting with ChatGPT to help me sort of build this. But I was able to do it, and it took a while to kind of figure out. But essentially how it works is I have this just text file that's it just says brandonmarshall.btc, and it's just a simple text file. And within, inscribed as children of that text file are a bunch of other sort of components, I guess is what I'm calling them, like footer.brandonmarshall.btc or sidebar.brandonmarshall.btc. And on the SAT that sidebar.brandonmarshall.btc is inscribed on, I also inscribed another file that actually contains the code for a website, sidebar. And then I'm looking at, okay, well, what is the most recently inscribed SAT? or most recently inscribed inscription on that particular sat, and display that. And I'm doing that for all these different components. I have a blog and a footer and a sidebar and a main kind of content area, and it's sort of collecting all those together and displaying them in one web page. And now I have the ability to update these individual components. Um, like we saw with like OCM Dimensions used, they inscribed like p5.js, which is like a JavaScript library. I also inscribed a JavaScript library called showdown.js, which takes markdown files and basically parses them and displays them as HTML. And it's using that as well. So yeah, all this sort of tech behind the scenes that's showing what looks like kind of a basic web page, but it's all running on ordinals, and everything is inscribed on Bitcoin, and it will work forever. And yeah, I think the tagline I was saying is like, this website will live forever, but it won't be stuck in the past because I can update it whenever I want to now by just inscribing a new file on one of those sats that I want to inscribe on. So very cool experiment. And yeah, it's just like the first one. It's kind of inspired some other folks to look at it and want to create their own stuff.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, man. That's amazing to have that kind of a passion project, but then also be contributing to the development in the space. So very cool. I also love that tagline about like, it lives forever, but it's not stuck in the past. Very clever.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been cool. Since inscribing it and publishing it, like Blockamoto, who created like the bitmap protocol, like they've also been like looking at it, and they're like, oh, I had this idea a long time ago, but I didn't know how to build it. And like I've had like several people that have sort of reached out that are just like inspired to sort of take that idea and kind of run with it for their own projects. So very cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
What I love about what you and I are both exploring in both of our shows, when I first got into Bitcoin and I was just trying to consume as much educational content as I could, many of which were podcasts, it was all related to price, but fundamentals as well. And then as I was exploring price more, I started to learn about like more macro and just anything that would have to do with just the price of Bitcoin. But as anyone does who spends more time in this space, they realize that there's so much more to Bitcoin than just the price, the asset, and it's everything else that's being built on Bitcoin. It's fascinating. So good on you, man, for exploring and developing. You're good for Bitcoin, Brandon.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind of been nice that the price has kind of stagnated a bit, because that means, there was a little less activity on Bitcoin and the fees were a little bit lower than they traditionally have been. So it wasn't too expensive to inscribe everything. I think I maybe paid a couple $100 US dollars to do it all. But a majority of that cost was the actual markdown parsing file. So that file now exists and anybody else can use it.
Gosh, man, that's incredible. Okay, so that was one of my questions. Like, how much time did it take you, and what was the total cost of everything?
Yeah, there were a few delays. This is more because for one, I had to learn how to actually use Ord, because I inscribed it all using the Ord, software. And you probably could do this with like Luminex and other tools that allow you to basically connect, apps like Leather, and you can do these things like reinscribing and inscribing on parent-child and things like that. But I also sort of took it as an opportunity to learn Ord a little bit deeper.
Nice.
But what I didn't realize is the time that it takes to index Ord. It's a really long time. I had previously set up Ord for runes when the runes launched, but to inscribe on specific sats, it requires you to basically index every single Bitcoin transaction that has ever happened and every single Satoshi that exists on Bitcoin,
Hmm.
and that database file itself is upwards of like 200 gigabytes. It's just a gigantic database of this data that tracks where every single sat is. So yeah, I didn't realize that. So I got a couple steps into inscribing, and then I realized that I couldn't inscribe on another sat, and I had to re-index, and it took like a week
Hmm.
and a half to do that. So that's why it took so long from first inscription to last inscription to do that.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations again. That's it's super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I see some folks in here as well. I think Coin Bazaar. I saw that you were requesting to come up. You can definitely feel free to come up if you like. This is an open show. But yeah, it was a pretty cool experiment, and I'm really excited to see what more people do with it. There's been I want to shout out. We recently on Leather did a shout out for Blob and the Blob community, and definitely want to give a shout out to Elock in particular. That's sort of part of Blob. He has been one of the main people that has really pushed a lot of these new endpoints that allowed things like looking at the last inscribed sat or inscription on a sat, for example. So shout out to him because it probably wouldn't even be possible without those folks. So pretty cool. But yeah, other people have been just inspired to create like the fact that you can basically look at other sats or other inscriptions that are inscribed on another sat. You can do things like potentially comparing the differences between files, for example. Think of like a GitHub, right, where you can see the changes and be able to analyze that. So um, yeah, that's just some of the ideas that I've heard. But Coinbazar, I'm going to bring you on here and see you raising your hand.
Should be up here.
But yeah, in any case, that was definitely. I mean, that was the thing that I was kind of focused on for the week. But there was still a couple other things that happened. Coinbazar, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi.
There you go.
Hi. Thanks, and it's really intriguing for me that you actually know my name. But then again, I just want to say that what we believe as is in on Coinbazar that we are still in early stages. I mean, there are so much more to go with Bitcoin that people, the regular users, need to understand and find that there are much more use cases as far as the inception of the Bitcoin that happened. It happened to ensure that, okay, fine, there are transactions that did happen, and that's what exactly is happening, whether it's with runes, or whether it's ordinals, or with whether it's Coinbazar, or whether it's anyone else in the world. Probably everyone who is associated with Bitcoin, they're working for probably, I think the core motive is that it should be Bitcoin, and how it can be made viable to people to make sure that they can use it for right reasons, for that matters, because this is the only thing which is not being manipulated. As far as I can say that, okay, fine, it's not manipulated. There are so many things that happens around the world with Bitcoin, but then again, I would not say, and that is one thing that actually is the exciting part of the Bitcoin is that there is so much underlying with Bitcoin that we have not come up with certain use cases that could be used in every day to day life, and it can make an impact for every day to day person. So I think that apart from the hodling, apart from the things that we have seen, now we are moving towards the medium of exchange, and that's what exactly people actually wanted. I mean, people had their piece of chunk with them, but now what exactly will happen should not happen to gold, because that's what exactly happened to gold. That at the inception it happened to had with everyone, but no, it has meant to evolve, it has meant to transact. And I think that everyone is doing their bits and parts to make sure, and everyone is putting their efforts to get into those kind of things wherein the people should have their, value proposition. When they're using bitcoin, they should use it to make sure that, okay, fine, there is something changed. I mean, it should not be a regular life, as you say. It should, there should have been certain change to it. I mean, apart from the things that, the things have been incepted by up till now. So that's what I think we are hopeful for. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate your perspective, and welcome back. By the way, I remember you. I think you were on a few weeks ago, and when we were talking about runes as well. So yeah, thanks for coming back and joining. And I agree. That's really really what trust machines and what we're focused on a lot is on bringing additional use cases onto Bitcoin, and even things like ordinals. I've been saying for a while, obviously there are so many amazing artists and so many things that are being created on ordinals, but it's much more than just art. There's all these token protocols now that are out there, but even more than finance. Things like being able to inscribe websites. One of the things that somebody was talking about with me, and I don't think we've really scratched the surface yet on, or have a solution for yet, is literally having a decentralized web that's all inscribed on Bitcoin, right? And having a completely decentralized service there. So I agree. We are definitely just scratching the surface, and there's definitely still a lot more that hasn't been created yet. And yeah, I'm just really excited to continue watching the space and seeing how things evolve. It's really been incredible to see everything that's happened just in this past year on Bitcoin. And yeah, I agree. We're just getting started.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what that's what I'm sorry. Please, you want to take over? Sorry.
I'll follow you. Go ahead.
Okay, that's what exactly is what was actually the case. If you this having, I would presume this having is not exactly with the if we compare the halvings that happened. This halving is specifically not has been incepted, or not has been designed. It has been designed in such a way that so many things that have happened, because no one actually thought of that COVID is going to happen and all those things. I mean, that never happened. So I think that this having particularly has given a food for the thought that, okay, fine, what if a catastrophe of such sort will happen, and how Bitcoin will evolve as one of the use case to make sure that, okay, fine, people need to have this kind of thing to ensure that their things are being protected and they should be get going. And what if after aftermaths? I mean, it's not only about that. It's just only 2 years, but what are the aftermaths, and how the market is gonna be evolving. So these are the things that actually matters. And I think that with Bitcoin, it has actually proved and proven thing now that yes, maybe I don't say that, okay, fine, it's about Coinbase only. But then again, as I said, that there are people around the world who have been working to ensure that, okay, fine, there should be real use cases which will make an impact on people's life, to ensure that, okay, fine, they have been their piece of chunk, which exactly it's meant to be. You know,
Yeah.
over to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot about what Bitcoin means for everyone. And even though it's, you know, the oldest and like it's the slowest, it's the least fast moving, a lot of fast development is happening on other chains. It's still so flexible and malleable, and people can use it in so many ways. So it's different for everyone. One highlight to my week was listening to Rena from Trust Machines talk in Spaces with the Ordinals bot, and she was saying that she inscribed voice memos from her late father, and they're going to be around forever because of that. If for some reason like AWS loses your stuff or iCloud loses your information, some people lose like a lifetime of memories. But for the most important stuff, yeah, you want to make sure it's around forever so Bitcoin can be there for you. Just one of the use cases. It's actually something I want to explore. So anyone listening, next week on the Leather Lounge, it's actually coinciding with Bitcoin Pizza Day. So we do want to hear from listeners on, how you are using Bitcoin beyond just hodling it. So if anyone wants to jump on and join us next Wednesday, we'd love to hear what Bitcoin means to you and how you've used it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Bitcoin Pizza Day definitely holds a special day in my heart, and yeah, looking forward to, I mean, it's the day where we celebrate the first physical, exchange of Bitcoin for pizza in this case, but for it was the first exchange of anything physical that somebody was able to purchase for Bitcoin, and definitely an important day. And yeah, the crux of that was a really important use case, right? That Bitcoin serves, and it's just a celebration of that. So I'm looking forward to that show. We have some guests that we'll be having on as well, and I'm excited to hear more from them. But I don't know if we can announce it yet on who's going to be there. I think we're still working on it. But
Yeah.
in any case, yeah, I'm very excited for Bitcoin Pizza Day and for that show.
For sure. Well, can I transition to our next topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, but
Grant, one thing I would say that sorry to interrupt. Can I say?
yes, go ahead.
Can I say? Sure. Thank you. When we say that, okay, fine, Bitcoin Pizza Day, we know that, okay, fine, we had so much to embrace for Bitcoin that we know that it has been transactable even for pizzas. I mean, that's why we're having those kind of things that has to be embraced even after 10 years, 8 years down the line. So I think that Bitcoin has already proven its mettle by now, and it's just the matter of the time that we had to make sure that people can go ahead and do that. They transact it rightfully, just like a currency, just like a maybe a credit card or maybe anything for that matters. I would not define it in that way probably, but I just have to ensure that whenever we are transacting to ensure that it can be connected globally. So I think that the first and foremost thing is it's not only about the pizza. It is about with anything for that matters, whatever comes to your mind. So I think that when it is transactable to pizza, it is transactable to a car, it is transactable to anything for that matters, whatever comes to your mind. So I think that it has already proven its metal. It's just that we never had the use cases, and we never looked about onto how to go ahead and make sure that people can go ahead and use it. But probably now is the time when we can probably say that yes, it is the time when people can go ahead and say that okay, fine, they want to transact anything and everything with Bitcoin, they would be able to do that. That's all I can say.
Well said.
Yeah, I'll just to add on to that, I'll just say, anytime that I do any kind of international traveling or anything like that, I always become very aware of the fact that obviously obviously U.S. dollars are not accepted everywhere, and I have to deal with like currency exchanges and just having to figure that out. And I'm always thinking like, man, it'd be so much easier if I could just pay with Bitcoin wherever I go, and maybe we'll get there one day. But yeah, definitely becomes apparent whenever you're doing any traveling or anything like that, that it'd be nice to have just one currency for everything.
Absolutely, and you can do that. It's just that people are not aware about it. It's just that you can do it and without the fees. then again, I would not sound like, okay, fine, I'm just doing a marketing, being the co-founder of Coinbazar. But then again, I would say that yes, we have found the real use cases wherein people can go ahead and transact it without paying any single penny. I mean, I would say that, when we talk in lens of the Lightning wallet, probably first question should arise that why do we need a Lightning wallet when the things would be suffice to go ahead and make sure that the transactions are done on ledger basis. I mean, that's what exactly the Bitcoin has meant to be. And when it has been meant to be in that case, then probably you would not have to pay the fee. Probably it's not that obviously, the minor fees is there for on chain. But then again, if you don't want to go ahead and do that, and if you can go ahead and do it on the internal transaction, you don't have to pay the ledger fee. So I'm pretty sure that everyone and anyone, you traveling everywhere, anyone can go ahead and accept bitcoins for no good reason. There is no reason for anyone to not go ahead and accept it if they are getting $100 for $100 of the bitcoin. I mean, nothing is being deducted. So I think that that's a win-win situation for both of the, the payer and the acceptor. Yeah, over to
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for coming up. And yeah, it's we just need to. I mean, you're obviously working on it, but bringing more use cases to Bitcoin and more people transacting on Bitcoin. That's definitely a noble goal to have. So definitely appreciate you coming up and sharing that. Um, but yeah, long straight. I think we can move on maybe to the next topic. And uh, yeah, do you want to kick that off?
Sure, man. Yeah, well, why don't we start with what's new with leather?
Yeah, I mean, well, I had a big, I guess, thing that I announced very recently, which is that Leather is hiring a new community lead, and I'm so excited about that because for those that know me, they know that community is something that's really special to me, and we're just looking for a really special person that can come in and really help to foster a community with leather. Obviously, you and I, have been doing that, and I think doing, I'll say more for you, have been doing a very good job. I won't say that about myself because I'm humble,
So
but
do a
um,
practice.
but yeah, leather is hiring. We're looking for a community lead. It's a full-time position, and yeah, we're really just looking for somebody that can come in and help to grow this community and foster a new community. Whether that's on existing channels, like obviously on Twitter, we're very active, but even potentially on new channels. Looking at things like even like a Telegram or Discord or Reddit or all the different kind of community channels that are out there, console, of course. So yeah, I'm really excited, to sort of be kicking that off. It's the first marketing hire that we've, done on the core kind of Trust Machines team in a while, but this person will be specifically focused on leather, at least for now. And yeah, really, really excited to be kicking that off.
I've had just the best time joining the leather team so far. Everyone has been super helpful and supportive. So, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about the whole team. Whoever gets the position and joins the team will be very fortunate.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, just excited for, we have a big year planned for leather this year. Obviously, mobile will be coming out, and many more announcements. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you another question. Is Bitcoin bipartisan?
Well, I I I think it depends on who you ask. I think it depends on.
Last week, it certainly did not feel that way.
Yeah, that's certainly true. So,
Let's change
well,
this.
yeah. So last week we talked about SAB 121, which is a pretty controversial, at least in the crypto space, bill, or not a bill. I guess it's more of a guidance from the SEC on how banks should be custodying their crypto, and essentially makes it so difficult for them to do that it essentially bans them from doing it. And last week, basically, a bill was put in place to remove it, and it passed the House. And then this week, it passed in the Senate. So you would say, "Oh, great! Looks like it's going to pass." But as we talked about last week, unfortunately, it might still get vetoed by the Biden administration. So we will see what happens there. But it was a 60-38 vote. So pretty overwhelmingly, a majority want this thing to no longer exist. But unfortunately, it is just being a political issue, and the president may not allow it to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Uh,
explicitly said that he will veto it. So
okay.
yeah, we'll see. And it's kind of putting him in a corner because we saw, like you said, it was a 60-38 vote with key Democrats, including Chuck Schumer, um, voting for it. So this week we do see that you know there are people in Washington D.C. who understand Bitcoin and the greater ecosystem, and who are ready to bring some of this innovation back to the states, because we've already seen a lot of people leaving.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly not making it easy for companies to operate in this space, and that's why we saw, companies like FTX basically not operating in the US, and by not operating in the US, they weren't regulated, and look at what happened, right? So it's actually by moving, all of this activity out of the US, it's actually harming US citizens arguably even more than if it was in the US. So yeah, I
Yes.
mean, it's certainly and it's an important topic, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not too confident on this actually getting removed or revoked.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to stay optimistic with politics.
Yeah.
And regarding the fallout of these kind of bad decisions, you know, Bitcoin is built on the concepts and ethos of decentralization. And all we have in America basically is just Coinbase now. And we should really have more. And we would have more if we had better guidance on this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can I say, Brian?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Leather, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for the things that's gonna happen, and you are into evolving the venture, and that's all good for the community. And as founder for one of the organization, I can go ahead and probably say that it feels always good when we say core bitcoiners, okay, fine, they are doing something. And as far as the governments are concerned and all those things are concerned, probably I would not be the right person to say, but I can say one thing with the conviction of what we have seen in the past. It's just that because bitcoin actually happened rightfully, I would say. It did not happen just like any other token. I mean, we have seen that, so it happened to have the involvement of everyone, as in probably the countries have been involved. I mean, we can't say even the entities or the companies, but it's the countries that have been involved. And even a small country like El Salvador makes a great big impact in the whole ecosystem of what we call it as bitcoin. So I think that to have the monopolistic economy of any country, say US, Europe, UK, any country would not go ahead and claim, okay, fine, that is the thing that we actually want it, and we will have the chunk. But then again, I think that every country is probably looking forward to it, that okay, fine, you know of what we have seen is the trembleness in the last 2 years and 5 years and 7 years, but probably that people needs to be make sure that they are safe. And that's what exactly I think that every government is emphasizing on, and make sure that okay fine that they are safe in terms of their funds, which is the major priority. I mean, that is something that has been neglected, that has been not been, because it's not only about Bitcoin has to be blamed, it's the whole ecosystem which we call it as a crypto has been blamed, and Bitcoin is something that has sustained and overcome those obstacles of, because it has its own aura of okay fine how it incepted, how it's rooted into everyone's, in every country, maybe every person, and everyone knows Bitcoin. I mean, you go here, there, and everywhere, probably no one knows okay fine what is, maybe any coin, maybe XYZ. There are thousands of tokens. People doesn't know everywhere in the world. People know Bitcoin. People can correlate with Bitcoin just like a gold. I mean, there is gold. People may not realize okay fine what is you know aquaresia or anything of that sort. I mean, people know that okay fine there is something which is actually sustaining the market and which is actually catapulting the market right now. So I think that that is one thing that is intriguing with Bitcoin, and that is needed to be ensured, and that's what everyone, just like you, ordinals, and as said, that everyone is working to ensure that it should sustain in a right way, and there should be some value proposition for the people. You know, yeah. Over to you.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I've I have learned so much through Bitcoin about kind of how the financial system works. And when you look at why Bitcoin was originally founded in the first place, the big inspiration was things like the Great Financial Crisis and all of the bailouts that followed. So Bitcoin was created as a response to those things. It didn't cause those things, right? So for I guess the people out there that are I guess blaming Bitcoin for a lot of these issues. These issues have been kind of longstanding for a long time, and that's really why Bitcoin was created in the first place.
Yeah, well said. I will say that because of Bitcoin, I've become a much better listener, and I've found it much easier to find things that I have in common and focus on things that I have in common with other people, and rather and to choose that over things that divide us. So we all have Bitcoin in common, and that's good for Bitcoin.
That is good for Bitcoin. Yeah, I love that. I love I love that there are so many people that love Bitcoin, that are using Bitcoin from all walks of life, from all beliefs, from everywhere, all around the world. And yeah, I think that's maybe a good place to to start to end it on. Um, for everybody that's joining, love to see you all on Club Bitcoin. I'll go ahead and pin Club Bitcoin to the space here. That is our console space where we talk about, of course, Bitcoin, and we'd love to have you all there. We are planning uh, some exciting things in the future. Like obviously, we talked about next week, Leather Lounge, a special episode for Bitcoin Pizza Day. Would love to see you all there next Wednesday. And yeah, Longstreet, anything else you wanted to add before we wrap?
That's it, man. Yeah, just everyone keep remember you make Bitcoin good. You make Bitcoin better. So keep bringing your best selves to it. Next week is going to be fantastic because it's Bitcoin Pizza Day on Wednesday. So yeah, we're going to have the guys from, pardon me, we're going to have the guys from Ordinals Bot, including Bruffstar. So he's a real Stacks OG. He goes back, and he was just innovating on day one. So it's always fascinating to hear him. Plus, he has that fantastic Scottish accent. I don't remember exactly what part of Scotland he's from, but it's you can't miss it when you hear him. So yeah, stay tuned there, and yeah, we'll tune in next week.
Shout out to Satoshables. That was one of the first NFT communities that I joined and purchased one of those when I kind of first joined this community. So yeah, they've done really some amazing things over at Ordinalsbot, and yeah, looking forward to talking with them. But in any case, thank you everybody for joining today, and yeah, we'll see you next week. It's going to be another good for Bitcoin week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening. We record Good for Bitcoin live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on X. Please follow us at Trust Machines Co. if you would like to listen and engage with us live. Visit us at trustmachines.co for all the latest Bitcoin news. We'll see you next week.